Hello, everyone. Today I want to talk about symbols and what they mean. I'm gonna pick a Pacific symbol, the swastika. The swastika actually is not what everybody thinks it means. The swastika actually means the good harvest. And it was a sign of currency between villages and other nations like India, China, um, Egypt, stuff like that. They, trade grain, squash, tomatoes, whatever it is that they're growing. The sign of the swastika actually came from the root they took in their garden. Because you walk up and down your garden, and you start getting a whole bunch of squares in your garden, and then depending on how you walk around it, the indentation in your garden would look like a swastika. Especially if you're like on your roof, fixing your roof, you look down like, oh shit, oh we can make currency out of that. We can take that and put it on a coin and make it a symbol, and it'll be the symbol of our harvest, and that's the swastika. In the Jewish community, I wanted to bring up the Jewish community and their beliefs and kind of like trying to fill in what's happening with them in Palestine and their issue with the Palestinians. It's one of their main big issues that they're not really putting out there too much, but it's actually a pretty big issue. In the Jewish community, you can only be born a Jew if your mother is Jewish. If your father's Jewish and your mother's not Jewish, you're not Jewish. But if your father's not Jewish and your mother is, then you're Jewish. All right. Yeah. Hitler actually is part Jewish through his father, not through the male side of his lineage. Not his father, but through the male side of his lineage. I think it's his grandfather, great grandfather. I think he was Jewish, but the women on his side of the family weren't. I know he had some Jewish males in his family, which made which made Hitler part Jewish. Anyways, he ended up getting the German people to unite through the Good Harvest, and he brought them together, and he made the nation pretty strong like that. But he was a dictator, and he wanted to grow and rule, and he started pushing. He just went crazy psycho, and a whole bunch of people had no choice but to follow the directions that he gave them. It doesn't make I mean, it is what it is, and they have to do what they're told or die. In the Middle East, they're doing the same kind of thing as Hitler's doing, but their sole purpose is actually to attack the women, and they want to take the child bearers out. Not so much kill the men. They want the women, because the women is what keeps the religion going. The men don't. Well, the men do, but the Jewish religion will die with the woman, and that's their aim. That's their purpose in attacking Israel. So that's just sad. It's sad knowing that. And it's sad knowing that they're just fighting, period. They just shouldn't be fighting at all. But you can't, guns, everybody should have a gun. Me personally, everybody should have a gun. Every solitary adult should own a gun. And they just should. You can't uninvent something that's already been invented. It's been made. It's invented. You can't uninvent it. So the best way to deal with it is make it legal for everybody. For instance, if a group of people are in McDonald's and I was in that McDonald's and someone came in that McDonald's trying to shoot everybody in the McDonald's and everybody has a gun, that person, he's not going to get too many rounds off. He's going to drop pretty quick. I mean, you're not going to rob a bank. When you go into the bank, everybody's armed in the bank. You're going to come in there with your gun. You got like 200 people in the bank that have guns. So you're just not going to do it. Respect is a lot different too. You tend to respect people more. But I wanted to talk about like one world order and like how sovereign nations, dictators, and communist countries have influences on other countries. For instance, it's sad, but I mean it's just the way it happened. For instance, we went into some Middle Eastern countries, America, and we picked a side of a nation, and we taught them how to fight. We gave them guns, weapons, and built a military for them. And then Russia and I think some other countries went to other portions of that nature and did the same of that nation and did the same thing. So now you got one portion of the nation fighting against another portion of the nation, and that portion of the nation fighting, and the nation's just basically just killing itself from the inside. I think somewhere around the line, I think people are catching wind to that, which is, it's fucked up. But you can also do that on TV and on the phone, and you can start making people. It's influencing them and just breaking down the nuclear family. Man, if you knew your cousins to the 13th cousin, and they knew their cousins to the 13th cousin, you have an army. That's a huge fucking army. In America, that would be a huge army, especially if you were to take up the Second Amendment to right to bear arms against a tyrant government because the government was tyrannical. That would be a problem. For the government. Obviously they're going to want to try and break down the nuclear family to as small as they can make it. So to where you barely know your first cousin, and make sleeping with a cousin actually disgusting. Meanwhile, the 1% of the world, the 1%, the rich, they all marry within their cousins, third cousins, fourth cousins, fifth cousins. They're all related. They marry within their family. They don't. But us small people at the bottom, it's disgusting if we marry our fourth or third cousin. We're disgusting people, and we're gonna have retarded children. That's just not true at all. That is absolutely 100% not true. Actually, I was going to talk about that later with my wife. She has some pretty interesting stuff to say about that, especially like coming to talking about mafia type origin of how they were building and establishing their lineage here in America. And they were acclimating themselves. Castellano eventually, actually, Castellano was working toward coming legal and legit. But the government didn't want that, so they're like, oh, you're not going to come to this country and do all this illegal stuff and then just turn around and become your own sovereign nation within our nation and make it everything legal. That's not happening. So they took out the mob. But my wife's going to talk about that later and how about the one world order. She wants to talk about that. I just wanted to bring that up and just let people know that to grow your family, keep your cousins, nieces, and nephews close in your life. All right, they're the people that are most like-minded within your family. And there's nothing wrong with your third or fourth niece marrying her third or fourth cousin. There's nothing wrong with it. It is not incest. Just to let people know. Anyways, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. I'll be on later. Bye.